Hey guys, welcome to Warstic headquarters. We're here in Battle Hall today, our demo center. Design director Ben Jenkins, director of Opps Mike Butler, and Ian Kinsler, professional baseball hitter and co-owner at Warstic. The idea today is to try to be a little bit on the dad side. We have kids playing. We kind of trying to sympathize with how hard it is to select a bat. The reality is, it is complex. There's a lot going on, a lot of small differences between metal bats. The fact is every hitter is not the same. So because the hitters change, right, then this is therefore why we created 4 different bats, right? Like if every hitter was the same, we would have one bat. We'd try to make the best bat for the most people, right?
Everybody wants to hit home runs.
Yep.
So I think it all gets lost that there are different types of hitters. There are different builds of people. Some people are super fast. Some people are big and can hit homers and generate speed and strong. Some kids are singles hitters or doubles hitters. And, growing up, I always had coaches telling me, what type of hitter are you? You need to figure out what type of hitter you are before you can get better. Because the idea is to figure out what type of hitter you are and then perfect that, get super good at that. And the bat lineup really is suited for that. Once you figure out, I'm a singles hitter, I'm a leadoff type hitter, or I'm a guy that needs to get on base, I need a little bit more control, I need a lighter swinging bat. Maybe you're not as strong as somebody else. And in order to win that game, you got to get on base for the guys that can hit the home run and maybe use a different bat, the guy in the middle of the order. So there's a lot of different nuances.
I think there's some good generalities that maybe make sense, which would be like maybe the idea that you should use the heaviest bat that you can actually still control. Because for you, you always talk about, like, as a hitter, what's the most important thing for you? It's finding barrels.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
so shouldn't the bat be the bat should be for that hitter, what bat helps them find the most barrels?
Yeah.
I mean, we love hitting the ball hard, right? Like we all, like, for sure, the goal is to hit the ball hard, but we sometimes forget about how often we want to hit it, right? Like that's hitting BP is easy. When we're facing real pitchers, we want to hit the ball in play as hard as we can, as many times as possible, right? So I think that's the nuance that we want to try to get into today, more so. So, like, explain to us, like, really when we say finding barrels, like, what does that even mean? Like, what does finding a barrel mean?
I mean, for me, it's the sweet spot of the bat.
Yeah.
The sweet spot of the bat is the part of the bat that you want to hit the ball on, the part where you don't really feel the ball.
Yeah.
That's the sweet spot. If it's a little bit off, just a tick off the end or a tick off in the hands, you're going to feel it a little bit. It's still going to, work for you. The bat's still going to work for you. You're still going to have some success.
Yeah.
It's not sweet spot.
Yeah.
So the sweet spot to me is finding the part of the bat where you don't really feel the ball.
Yeah.
Whether it's on the ground or in the air, if you hit the sweet spot over and over again, you're going to be successful because that's when you're driving the ball.
Right.
And that's what the sweet spot is to me.
So let's say if we're working backwards, our goal is to find the sweet spot more often. I think that's a good that's a good point. But so much of the swing happens before we make contact. So that's why we tend to measure the things that happen at contact, exit, velo, all these things, distance and stuff like that. But if we're not getting the barrel to the ball more often, none of that really matters.
If you're using a heavier bat and you're not strong enough to get that barrel to the ball properly, if the bat is kind of swinging you, it's really not going to work for you the way that you want it to. The balance point's going to be released early. They talk about your hands getting away from your body in a slow swing. Well, you really want your hands to stay close to your body so that you can create some speed. It's like a figure skater, right? When they're spinning, when they're going around, they're pulling their hands really close to them as they start to speed up. So the closer you can keep your hands to you, the faster you can spin. And if you have a bat that's, here, that's our heaviest offering, and you're losing that bat on the backside, you're not going to create as much speed. Even though it might be the hottest bat or the highest exit velo, it doesn't matter because it's not that bat's not really built for either your swing or your body type or what you're trying to accomplish.
But for some players, it is.
Right.
So because I think there's another generality that maybe as far as power, hitting the ball as hard as we can, it is kind of a simple equation about weight and density meets swing speed.
Absolutely.
Right? So a lot of our major league players, like they do generally try to want to swing the heaviest bat that they can control, because if they can do that, they're going to hit the ball hardest, right? So there's a case for making a heavy bat, because there's a certain percentage of players, right, that I am a power hitter. Like, I'm going up there to hit the ball as far as I can for my team. That's my job on my team. So a bat like the Gunner is all geared towards that. It's not trying to be all things to all people. It's trying to be it's our most end-loaded bat, correct?
Yeah, it's got the highest MOI. And to your guys' point, it's all about maximizing performance. Someone that can handle the Gunner is going to get much better performance out of it than, say, the Bone Saber hybrid, because they can handle it, generate more whip through the zone, and launch the ball a lot further, versus someone that might want a one-piece bat is more concerned with getting the bat to the ball as quickly as possible. So it's all about maximizing, the bat for your player and performance type.
So, like, let's talk about one thing, like hotness, right? Like, hotness is the big word. Like, everybody wants to find the hot bat. And the reality is, I do believe you can make an unhot bat. Like, you can make a really bad bat that doesn't perform at the baseline, right? So the baseline for BB core is, maybe you'd be a good guy to explain the 0.50, the BB core mark, why it's there, why we get it.
Yeah. I mean,
it's essentially meant to level the playing field and have a ceilings that you can't go over.
Yeah, exactly.
For safety.
So the 0.50 is exactly that. That's the ceiling. So when these bats get sent in for testing, they're hit at various locations along the barrel, and they're trying to find, are any of these locations along the barrel hotter than 0.50? And so our goal is always to create bats that reach and touch that limit, don't go above, and are not too low. To your point, you can definitely make a bat that is not hot, and you can definitely make a bat that's way too hot.
Yeah.
Our fine line is finding, how do you get to that limit, touch it, not go over it, not be too much below. And all of our bats are very much in that range of being just below or touching the limit, so we're providing the hottest bats in the game, and then it comes down to a feel thing.
Obviously, we want the bat as hot as possible. The reality is, whatever brand you're picking, if they've been around for a while and they're selling, they're making the bats as hot as they can. They are performing. Then it comes down to feel. Like, what feel is best for you, you know?
I always tell parents, because they ask that question, well, which bat is hottest, or what do you think, which bat in the market is the hottest? I always say, for us, leave that up to us. We are making these as hot as the performance standard allows.
Yeah.
I can guarantee these are as hot as we can make them.
Yeah.
And they're going to be some of the hottest in the game. And then it comes back to feel.
Let's say that it's a given that all the bats have the power. If you look online and you look at bat reviews, you're going to see our bats at the highest power level. Like, let's say it's a 1 out of 10, it's a 10. So all these bats are achieving a power rating of 10. Okay. So then it becomes, that's a results thing. We're going to get power out of all the bats, assuming that I can swing this bat well. So then what are the attributes that make up feel beyond power? Would be, I would say the biggest thing for feel is what MOI, we say swing weight is an usual thing. It's not just how heavy does the bat feel when you pick it off the ground. Oh, that's a thing. Like, the first time you pick up a bat and you feel that, your mind's starting to judge, do I like the feel of this bat? Like, just the way that it feels coming off the ground, the heaviness. That's a weight thing, but it's a weight distribution thing. So show us, how do you, just in a simple way, holding a bat, like a way to see MOI, if you don't have a way to actually measure it, you can actually just balance the bat on your finger.
Yeah, I mean, there's balance.
And show you.
Yeah, you can take your finger and try to balance it on your finger to find the balance point.
Yeah.
And then that's one attribute that you'll find in the testing of BB core bats.
Yeah.
And then MOI is slightly separate. So you've got these two data points, the balance point of the bat and then the MOI, which is the weight distribution.
So like a player like Ian, he's going to I know what he's going to do. MOI, he's going to feel by doing that.
Yeah.
Like, you can feel the MOI as a hitter. It's that way that weight is distributed in your hands.
Yeah.
You can feel the better.
I can feel the balance point pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Because I've, used wood bats for an extended period of time. And, they're able to minutely change wood bats, whether it's the barrel, the handle part of the barrel, the neck or whatever you want to call it, the cup at the end, the way the handle's designed. There's all different ways that you kind of change that feel. It's very minute in a wood bat, but I've been swinging a wood bat for a while, so I can feel it pretty quickly. So like being able to feel the difference of these four for me is pretty easy.
Yeah.
And really, if you pick them up one by one, I mean, you can definitely feel the differences. And it's really finding that balance point that feels good to you is kind of the starting point. Right?
Yeah.
The one you want to start with.
Why does swing weight, just the bat feeling good in your hands when you're standing up the plate is ultra important? But like, why would I, in general terms, like swing weight, more end load is supposed to do what versus more balance is supposed to do what? Like more end load is supposed to do what?
It's a little bit more throw of the weight.
Yeah.
A little bit more snap in the bat.
Yeah.
I would say it's a little bit denser. Denser feeling. So you're probably the ball's probably going to go further.
Right.
When you hit it on the barrel, when you hit it on the sweet spot, like we talked about.
Yeah.
The one that's heavier or the one that has the MOI closer to the barrel feels end loaded.
Yeah.
It's going to launch the ball for.
Yeah. Would you say that it's harder to swing an end-loaded bat than a more balanced bat?
Yeah. If I was to pick up Josh Hamilton's bat, right, and try to swing it, I would be all out of whack. But if I was going to go to BP and use Josh Hamilton's bat, it would take me a little bit, and then I would find the barrel, and then I could probably hit him further than I would with my regular BP bat that I would use.
Yeah.
Right? But is that realistic? Is that how I want to perform? And the answer is easy. It's no.
Yeah.
Like it's fun to try to hit him far.
But it's also not fun to strike out way more often than you know that you should.
I need more versatility.
Yeah.
Find something you can be consistent with every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So swing weight to me, I think it's by far the biggest attribute, like that helps you choose a bat, because it's just the thing that affects feel the most, right? And it does have to do with size of the hitter, weight of the hitter, strength of the hitter. These are the things that we can most align with. This attribute is the thing we can most align probably with size and strength of a person. Like as a hitter progresses with their consistency, you probably could progress just like this. And if you can get to the point where you can swing this as consistently as this, you would, because you're going to hit the ball harder with this.
Most people are in this middle range.
Yeah.
And the younger kids or early high school probably favor this side.
Yep.
And then as you get older and you go and get into college, you get a little bit stronger, you start, lifting weights consistently.
Yeah.
You might be in one of these two.
Swing weight is such a contributing factor to success. Is we forget that the ball for different age kids is coming in at a different speed, right? So there is a point of diminishing returns sometimes on it's so easy to want the lightest bat possible. It really is, because, I can swing it faster. I can catch up to the fastest fastballs. But the reality is, at a certain point, you need that density in a bat you want to bully the ball, not the ball bully your bat. You know what I mean? So that is an equation that has to do with weight and density and the velocity of the pitch, right? So the reality is, say you're 15 years old and you're just getting into high school baseball. Right now, your probably main concern is putting the bat on the ball. I'm seeing pitchers that are throwing faster. Like, if I'm swinging too heavy of an end-loaded bat and I'm not making contact, I'm not getting more bats and I'm not getting better. But say you've progressed and you're a starting junior or something like that, and you're starting to see guys throw 92, 93 miles an hour. At a certain point, if you're swinging too light of a bat, that bat's getting bullied a little bit. That's not the bat's fault. That's just that dynamic of you and your strength and the speed of that pitch and things like that. So I think that's where the level that you're playing at can also be a contributing factor to how much of an inload you need to get into. It's a progression. So let's talk about the next biggest attribute to feel, which is sweet spot. probably the most controversial thing because I think there's different ways to define it. Like maybe me and you define sweet spot a little differently, but probably the most common description is the part of the bat that feels the best. Like you say, like the part that you almost don't even feel contact. I mean, that's what we all strive for. We like to feel that as much as possible. I think what gets lost in that, I mean, and that's true, right? We all agree that like the more spots along a barrel it feels good, the better. It's a good thing. The reality though is that doesn't necessarily translate to like exit velo along the barrel, right? So like I would say like these are probably comparing the Bone Saber and the Bone Saber Hybrid is a good way to talk about that. The reality is, you tell me technically, like, is the best sweet spot on the Bone Saber one piece hotter than the best sweet spot on the two piece?
You bring up a great point. The barrel profile of the one piece and the two piece is the same until you get down to the joint that separates the handle. So the biggest difference here is going to be feedback and feel. One piece and all one pieces in the market are going to feel like they have a smaller sweet spot because you're going to be able to feel when you miss hit here or here.
But it does change the feel of the bat.
100%. But if you miss hit down here on the two-piece hybrid, lower towards the joint, it might still feel really, really good, but you just don't get that negative feedback.
Yeah. So is it a case that actually someone could want that feedback? Like we hear that actually often. Like I think more precise, better, consistent hitters like to feel when it feels bad.
Yeah.
Because it just told me I didn't hit that where I'm trying to hit it. Like that's actually good feedback for you as a hitter to progress and get better as a hitter.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're sponsoring Missouri this year, and a lot of them are using one-piece Warhawks or one-piece Bone Sabers for that exact reason. They want to feel those minute differences of where they're barreling the ball, and you know that better than anyone. You know, that feedback is key in making these small adjustments.
Maybe the sweet spot on the one-piece is smaller than the two-piece, but the reality is, like, say you hit it an inch down, and it didn't feel awesome. Well, what if it went 103 miles an hour and that extra couple miles an hour got it 2 inches over the shortstop's glove and that was a game-winning hit? Is that more important to you than maybe on a more forgiving bat, you hit it 101 miles an hour and he caught it and you didn't win the game? So it's not as simple like that. It depends on what your goal is. Like, I mean, I think I would rather in that situation have gotten the base hit and all my teammates be happy with me, even if it hurt my hands a little bit.
Bottom of the line for me is if you hit the ball in the sweet spot, you're going to have good exit velo numbers.
Yeah.
Or results, right? Like results as far as the bat performance. But really the key is finding the bat that you're going to be able to do that most often with. And I think that comes down to balance and feel in your hands.
Yeah.
Because all of these bats are going to perform really well in the sweet spot.
Another thing that parents should understand is, like, why do bat companies make one-piece and two-piece bats? It's not just because, oh, two-piece are hotter or one-piece are hotter. It's that they change the feel. So you, as more of an engineering type person, tell us what the major general differences are between one-piece bats and two-piece bats. Yeah, like, why do you do that?
I mean, it's very simple. Really, it's the joint that's connecting the handle. So on a one-piece bat, you're just tapering this one-piece alloy all the way through. A two-piece, you're chopping that barrel down here, adding a sophisticated joint system to connect to a composite handle. So there's a few key differences here. The two-piece, obviously, if you miss-hit a ball, this joint is going to stop all that vibration up through your hands. A one-piece, there's nothing to stop it. You're going to get that negative feedback, or you're going to get that positive feedback in a much greater value.
Yeah.
The other big difference is the composite handle on a two-piece is going to feel a lot lighter in your hand. So a two-piece for some might feel like they can whip it through a lot easier, and they've got a massive giant barrel that can connect with the bat or with the ball, versus a one-piece doesn't have that. So we thinned out the handle quite a bit on the one-piece Bone Saber to try to mimic that a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's still going to feel stiffer than a two-piece.
So let's talk about another contributing factor that usually doesn't come into play for most bat companies, but for us it does, is, I mean, the knob is a major part of feel. Like, we learned this from working with major league players. Like, it's unbelievable all the different knob styles that occur. And really, when you look at the common metal bat knob, it hasn't changed in 40 years. It's still this super simple thing. people will put a little taper under the grip, this kind of thing. So one feel thing that we do have is the feel of the Bone Saber knob, which comes from working with our major league players and just all about comfort and smoothness, right? So that is a feel thing. Like, the reality is this might feel great. It's pretty hard to not feel great, to be honest with you. Now, that doesn't mean it's right for you. Like, if you need the conventional knob, like a lot of people ask us, like, why don't you just put the Bone Saber knob on all Warstic bats? And my answer is because we want to have different feels. Like, I do think it's a great knob. I love the Bone Saber knob. I prefer it. But that doesn't mean that everyone across the board, I mean, you can, if you like a more conventional knob, you should have that choice. So that's another reason I would say we have maybe 4 bats instead of 3. Simple thing, but the reality is, if you ever look at a Warstic metal bat, we always leave one side completely clean. Like, there's no graphics on this side of the bat. There's no graphics on this side of the bat other than our logo, which to me is purposeful. It's because, to me, when you're up there hitting, like, I don't need a lot of things getting in my mind. I want my mind as clear as possible. So, like, I like giving the hitter like that clean look to look at. And you know, the War Stripes, we've literally had people turn it into a focusing tool, right? Where, you know, just it's a simple thing to stare at and clear your mind and stop thinking about everything else. It's still, every little bit we can do to be helpful to the hitter, I think, counts. Is this going to turn you into a great hitter just because of that? Absolutely not. But it is something that we offer that other bats don't. Like, again, selecting a right bat, I don't believe, as a hitter, or especially as a parent, if the hitter doesn't know what they're trying to be, or what their goal as a hitter, how could you select a bat? Because in my mind, that is what dictates what bat is right for you. Can you talk a little bit about, like, why that's important to know what kind of hitter you are? Or it really comes down to me, to being, like, how do I best help my team win? It's being the hitter that I am.
I think that's the most honest thing that you can say to yourself. You know, sometimes it's hard.
Yeah.
Like, when I was a kid, I can remember driving home in the car crying to my dad, like, I can't hit any home runs. All my friends are hitting home runs.
Yeah.
And I hit home runs. Well, I was a doubles hitter.
Yeah.
But I had to meet that reality.
Yeah.
And so once the kid can understand what type of hitter that they are, it'll be a lot easier for them to select a bat. And that's why we give all these options. So
Yeah.
we're not telling you which bat to be in. It's kind of up to you, right? It's up to you to figure out what type of hitter you are, what you're trying to accomplish, and then figuring out which bat fits you the best and fits your game the best.
Because a bat can't fix that, I don't think. If you're a doubles hitter, can I give you a bat that makes you a home run hitter?
No.
I think we'd all like to think that when we get online and buy a bat, but I don't think that's the case.
Right, like Mookie Betts hits 30-something home runs a year, but if you asked him what type of hitter he was, he would say he's a gap-to-gap hitter. He's not a power hitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, he runs into 30 of them because he's really good. He's one of the best players in the game.
Yeah.
But in his mind, he's a gap-to-gap hitter.
Yeah.
So he's not going to be trying to swing the same bat that, like, Max Muncy's swinging.
Yeah.
Or, you know, somebody that's trying to hit 40 or whatever.
Yeah.
Or their goal is to hit 30 to 40, and that's kind of all that they provide.
Yeah.
Mookie's more well-rounded. He's a gap-to-gap guy.
Yeah.
And you can go on and on with guys that maybe are a little bit more contact-oriented.
Yeah.
And they change their style of bat.
Yeah.
To themselves. It's not about the bat changing your swing. It's about you picking the bat that fits your swing the best.
Right. Well, and it's also what you value. I think we've gotten so far down the road of, like, that homers are what we value. But I think, like, as dads, when we go to a youth game and you see a kid, like, get a solid double, get a solid single, look around. He's very happy. Dad's happy. Mom's happy. I mean, striking out is not fun. You know, so, like, we do actually value a lot more in the game than homers, is what I'm saying. And the kids even do. Like, I think they all say they want to hit bombs, but I promise they'd rather come home and gotten a couple knocks than strike out 4 times.
When I go to a youth game, whether it's a high school game or my son's 11, it's very rare to see a home run hit.
Yeah, which is why it's so fun. Yeah.
It's just it.
Yeah.
It's hard to do.
Yep.
So to be a more well-rounded player, to be a winning player,
Yeah.
hitting a home run necessarily isn't your best way to win a game because it's just not happening. The odds of hitting a home run are so low.
Yeah.
I mean, I go to my son's game at 11 and watch a whole tournament and not see one home run.
Yeah.
Maybe see one.
Yeah.
Go to a high school game, you watch high school game, you know, I bet I bet the home run total is like 0.7 or 0.8 a game. Like,
Yeah.
there's maybe one hit a game,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
So figuring out that hitting line drives, keeping the ball out of the air is so much more beneficial to actually winning the game.
Yeah.
That once you figure that out, then maybe trying to groove your swing to hit home runs or use the heavy bat might not be as appealing to you.
No, for sure. I mean, home runs also occur like when you actually hit the ball.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Sweet spot.
more often. So like, you know, increase your odds of hitting a homer is increase your odds of making really solid, sweet contact. Yeah. If you do that, it's a better chance you get a homer. Like maybe one bat's going to hit a little further because it's heavier, but you've got to find the right balance between, you know, weight and what you can handle in order to be able to make a lot of solid contact. So that's it, man. So thanks for listening, and good luck out there.